Welcome to The Road to Innovation, powered by the Kleinert Foundation. On each episode, we delve into innovative solutions to society's most pressing issues like sex trafficking, homelessness, and poverty. We hope that with each conversation, you'll be inspired to take actionable steps towards social change. Here's your host, Hannah Rabelais from the Kleinert Foundation.
Thank you so much for tuning in to the Road to Innovation podcast powered by the Kleinert Foundation. I am your host, Hannah Rabelais, and today we have such a fun interview with two of my favorite ladies from Marie Mae Company. We have Jillian Ryan here, who is the founder and CEO of Marie Mae, and then we have Jasmine Carney, who is the Director of Operations. Welcome to the show, ladies.
Thanks so much. Thank you.
Well, before we dive into some deeper questions, for the audience who doesn't know who Marie Mae is or what y'all do, can you just describe what your business model is, who you are, and why you got started?
Oh, that's it.
Yeah, that's it. Big question.
Okay,
Yeah,
got
hit
it.
it off the bat.
So we do corporate gifts that give back. It's all ethically sourced products, mainly paper products and then leather products out of Haiti. And then we do upcycled horn products out of like Uganda and Rwanda. And so it's all ethically sourced, all the paper products made here in the US. And then for every product and gift bundle that we sell, we provide an hour of business training for women around the world. Which is why I started it. So it started by accident. I was a political risk consultant in DC for 10 years. And then I was doing a lot of work in Africa, and there was this group there that I wanted to work with on giving back with business skills, and I was being too Texan to go after a government grant. So I was like, no, I can figure out how to fund this. So figured out, I was like, I'm just going to launch this as a side project. Literally launched it in 3 weeks, which was ridiculous.
Oh, wow.
I was like, as a business consultant who overthought everything, it was very much not like me. So came up with the idea I wanted to do paper products just because I loved them and I was looking for a consumer good, is how it started. So we did that, started it, launched it, got things up on the website.
And what year is that when you started?
2014.
2014.
Did that, again, was still doing political risk consulting, so it was just a side thing, and it wasn't supposed to be any pressure. Just not how it turned out. So did that, did the first business boot camp in Rwanda with the sewing cooperative there in March. Saw how much it was helpful having the business perspective versus, again, not to knock the nonprofit side of it, because that's fantastic and there's a place for it, but I thought it was really important to have people that had been grinding on the business side actually teaching the business skills.
Yes.
And so I went to Rwanda for 2 weeks. Again, didn't want to be the person that was just flying in, the American flying in, acting like she knew what she was talking about. But my friend was like, you're not coming all the way to Rwanda and not actually doing your business classes. So got there, spent a week with them, just getting to know them for the first week, hired a local business class coach, teacher, and translator to do the class with me. So we did that the second week. And it went fantastic. I was like getting to see them actually focusing on themselves. Like, what do they want out of business? How do you teach, like, how you act within a business? How do you scale? My thing was too, I wanted them to go after Rwandan business. So how do you actually look for opportunities in country? How would you even pursue it? Yeah. So we did a bunch of that kind of stuff. So then came back, again, it was just a side project for a while. But then after, I guess it was about 2 years, we ended up having a big subscription box come to us, and they're like, we'd like you to make 300,000 boxes of stationery. And I was like, literally, I know, exactly.
Wow.
Okay. I don't think my dad and I can do that. So we literally, I was literally like Googling, how do you mass produce? And I was like, how do you do this ethically? Because I knew I didn't want to be doing this in Asia. And so did that, and that's when I finally figured out, wait, this actually is a real business, and it will scale fantastically.
And there's a demand for the product you were selling.
So we've kind of morphed from, to begin with, it was basically just paper products and all that kind of stuff for personal use, but we have now focused, in the last couple years, focused more on the corporate side, because it's such a fantastic way for businesses to give back with money they're already spending on branded items. And so my thing was, like, one, let's give them swag that they actually like versus just throw away. And let's actually not have to come up with random money to give back, but literally impact sourcing is what it is. So anyways, in a nutshell, that's kind of where we are at the moment. So we kind of scaled up a little bit last year, hired on Jasmine, our operations manager, hired a PR team, and then, the rest are still freelancers, and then all of our production partners. So
wow. And Jasmine, how has it been for you the past year? So you've only been part of this, but you guys have been friends since high school, so you've kind of been on the outside a little bit seeing it, but how has it been working with Marie Mae inside the company?
Right. Yeah. So I knew what Jillian, sorry, I call it, see, we've known each other for so long. I'm so used to calling her Jill. Jillian, we went to high school and college together, and then I had been doing medical billing for 18 years and just decided I needed a change. I needed to do something different. And I just happened to stumble upon a post that she put on social media that she was hiring. And I thought, well, what a better person to work for. So I wasn't sure if her number was still the number in my phone. And I texted and I said, Jill, is this still you? And she said, yes. And I said, did you hire someone? She said, no. I said, can I come interview? And she said, actually, you already have the job. You don't even need to interview. And I was like, perfect. Easy. But no, once she told me what she did, the impact, and just everything she was doing, I thought, this is a change I needed. I need to be doing something with my life where it makes an impact and it makes a difference. So it was like the perfect fit. So it's been a great year. And I feel like I'm still learning. Obviously, coming from medical billing to something like this,
yes,
it's been great. And I've met so many people, and I feel like I've made an impact as well. So I love it. I really do. And what a better person to work for.
I know.
So yeah.
I'll pay you later. Yep. Thank you.
So you've been in business for a couple of years. What has been your biggest surprise or challenge since you've started?
All of them. Everyday life. No, I think so obviously all the logistical issues of how do you cash flow a product business, which is much harder than consulting was. Because again, consulting, you kind of just knew, here's what your overhead is, here's how much you need to be bringing in. It made sense. But cash flow issues to where you have to figure out, like, here's the products I need to be stocking up on this month, but we're not getting paid. It's just a whole different ballgame. But the hardest thing I think I've had to deal with was the emotional resilience that you need as an entrepreneur. And how do you not let your self-worth be tied to exactly what you're doing and how well it's going. Otherwise, it's a total emotional roller coaster.
And how do you cope with that? And there's so much pressure, especially like being a person of, a team of one, and then also having another person.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, that's even a bigger, honestly, like challenge and really pressure. How have you coped, and how do you continue to keep on doing and waking up every day?
I had a mentor tell me a long time ago that his best piece of advice was that you don't have to be the smartest person in the room. You just have to be the most persistent. And that's kind of how,
love that.
I was like, that's kind of how I have ended up approaching each and every day, persistent and keep going. Like, you just cannot ever consider failure as an option. Like, I feel like if you see a road to get off, you would.
Yeah.
So say you have to be kind of crazy to keep going. But no, it's definitely worth it, but it's also worth it on the persistent side when going after sales and all that kind of stuff. Because again, so many of ours, if I had listened to the timid me that I used to be there on the, I would typically, in the consulting days, would email once, they didn't email back. I'm like, oh, okay, never mind. They don't want to buy this. But really, people are just busy and don't see it. So now I literally will make people tell me no. Because I'm like, I can handle a no. Just say no.
Just say no. Yeah.
Exactly. Don't ignore me. So, anyways.
What has been your biggest surprise, Jasmine?
With me personally, or with Jillian?
Or in general, like working in a social enterprise. Yeah, startup social enterprise.
Yeah, I mean, just like what she said, like the persistence. Because with me, like she was saying, like if I send out my outreach emails and I might send like 20 out and I get like one reply back, I'm ready to give up. I'm ready to say, okay, well, those other 19 just had no interest in us, give up. But then she's like, no, we're just going to keep going. You're just going to push, and you're going to try to get those other 19 people to answer you. So it's been that, just to know that I can't just give up on that one time. I have to continue to be persistent and just keep trying. That's another thing. Just keep trying. Just keep going, and not just give up so easily when you hear the first no. or you don't hear anything back.
Yeah, exactly.
That's been a challenge too. Like she said, the emotional side, especially for me. And it was more like the personal side of it, because I felt like everybody I knew was going to come support me once I started working for this company where they could support us by purchasing things. And I didn't get a lot of that at first. And so it was also that, just, the personal side of me saying, wait, but I feel like everybody should be joining me and doing this with me. And so I had to kind of get over that and just realize, well, there's other opportunities out there to be able to push and get to where we want to be or need to be and things like that. So, yeah.
But it is, again, I wouldn't change. I was I feel bad. I feel like we're being a little down on it. I wouldn't change any of it.
No.
I was like, every time earlier on when I had thought about possibly stopping, every time I would start looking at a job description, I was like, no, what am I doing? I don't want to do that. I was like, I like what I'm doing. It just drives me insane.
Yeah.
That's all right.
You have the mission, and I think the mission is so important. I think that's what makes y'all stand out as a business. Is like there's people's lives, and there's change on the other side of it. It's just not just buying a paper product from Staples. Like there's a story behind it. The quality is so much better. For our watchers, I just want to show y'all this. You're right. Yeah, here we go. The joys of being live. So I just love the Write with Purpose notebook. And so it's a hardcover, it's spiral bound. I mean, the color is beautiful. The paper is thick. Paper, it is just gorgeous. And I have thrown it in my purse. I mean, the wear and tear I put on mine is just insane, but it holds up. I mean, I've had one since 2015, and it's still fully intact, which I cannot believe because, again, I just destroy everything in my bag. But why, it's so important to have quality, and especially when you're a social enterprise and your price point is a little bit higher than going to Staples. Can you talk about the importance of quality and how you source things? Because everything is ethically sourced, like you said. Yeah,
that's what I was going to say. So I absolutely, obviously, love our give back, and that was why we started. But the front end supply side on the ethically sourced stuff has actually been amazing to watch. Is they actually creating American jobs by source, because our paper is even sourced in the U.S. And so it was such a dying industry because everyone goes to China on this stuff because it is.
Go to the Target dollar section.
I was gonna say I can't even tell you how much cheaper it is if you go there. But again, the quality is not there.
Yeah.
So I feel like, again, if you're going to have the higher price point to support American jobs, you also have to have the higher quality, which you do. They do.
You do get it.
So
yes.
What was the question now? I totally forgot.
Like the importance of you touched on important quality product, especially when you're a social enterprise and your price point is a little bit higher, but you're also getting something quality, but you're also giving something back to the world.
Yeah, exactly.
So I want to kind of just dive back into the business model itself, because you guys have decided there's a lot of social enterprises that either offer employment opportunities, so they employ someone or women who have been through a traumatic experience or have significant barriers to employment, or there's also which is very important, and love all those people who are doing that. And we also appreciate the people like our good friends Callie, and they give back 5% to anti-trafficking organizations. But y'all have chosen not to do the give back or the employment opportunity piece. So every purchase you make from Marie Mae gives an hour of business school to women entrepreneurs in the world. Like you started with the story in Rwanda, but now actually you're also here in Dallas giving business school and business classes to women here in Dallas who've been trafficked. So can you just walk us through kind of the realities of, you probably played with the idea of giving back, but giving a percentage back of your revenue, but why did you land on this business model?
One, I think it was more effective. And so I really wanted to go the route of what I thought people needed. We could have given notebooks for every notebook that you bought. And again, not dissing the ones that do that but I just thought, especially for our corporate customers, they really see the value in a business education. And that's what a lot of us had gotten and a lot of people do not have access to. And so I knew that was one of the most effective ways I thought to alleviate poverty was teaching business skills. But I also wanted the whole reason, you didn't ask, but the reason why I did it as a social enterprise versus a nonprofit was because I also wanted to be forced to find products that people liked.
Be market
I wanted the forces of the market to tell me, no, your first stationery was ugly. Things like that to say.
I didn't think it was ugly. Just so I know. I do have some still. Yes, I loved it.
But I wanted those market forces, since I'm such a big believer in that stuff, to tell us where should we go? What's the most sustainable? And I didn't want to have to fundraise. Like I wanted something that was sustainable. So I had to go through, I felt like, the harder route to begin with of how do you bootstrap this, especially when you have to buy inventory and do all of that kind of stuff. So that is why we started a social enterprise versus a nonprofit, and why we do the give back the way we do of the business school hours versus giving. But I also wanted to be able to figure out how to scale that side versus we're still playing around with that as well. They're trying to figure out how do we scale that appropriately, but still want to be working with the same people that we were wanting to work with. Because I had a heart for working a lot in the villages as well, in places like Rwanda. But the reason we switched to Dallas was because I wanted something a little more long-term, because I didn't want to be flying in, flying out, because that wasn't as effective. But still, how do you reach those people?
Yes.
The ones that need it. So anyways.
Yeah, so talk about what you're doing in Dallas now. So you partnered with New Friends, New Life at the moment, and that might change, but at the moment that you're offering business classes to those women. So talk about, do you have a story or anything like that you want to share, like how your curriculum has gone, or what do you teach? Like, can you just talk a little bit more about that?
Yeah, so currently I'm working with them on their current business classes, so teaming up with their current teachers on teaching their current curriculum. We were going to do some entrepreneurship classes, but most of the ladies are not ready for that yet. So we decided to back it up, and we need to do some more leadership development, business development, that kind of stuff beforehand. So we're currently working on they've got 4 phases over at New Friends, New Life of all their different career classes. And then we're working now on a leadership development track for after they're done. With a lot of the stuff like we had in high school and college the opportunity to go in and visit a company and have them tell you about what they do, just so they can see the different options. Because a lot of times, again, I feel like we saw this stuff in our natural everyday lives, and that's just such a piece that's missing on how do you give, even the internships and all that kind of stuff that we had the privilege to do. So anyways, that's what we're currently working on.
That's so exciting. Jasmine, do you get to sit on anything or experience any of the classes yourself?
Well, yeah. So I went with Jill we went one day, and there were women that were having to fill out work applications online. And I was able to help 2 women that just needed help on just knowing how to navigate, the keyboard and the mouse and things like that. So it's something as simple as that, like she said, that we were so privileged to learn to do in high school and in college, that these women didn't exactly know where to start. Mm-hmm. So that was a great day. I loved being able to help.
She's really good at that.
Yeah, I was able to.
I am not as good at the walking people through the computer thing.
Yeah, like I think just as a mom, I just have that extra patience. Mm-hmm. So it was just great because she one of the women I worked with, she was set on the companies that she wanted to fill out an application for. So that it just felt good being able to help her get through that, and seeing that she was excited about that, it was accepted and she got it in. So yeah, so that was good. She just leaving and seeing the hope on her face was great feeling.
And that's why y'all exist. And I just have not heard of anybody else doing something similar. Like, do you know of anybody else in the country or anywhere else?
When I was living in DC, there are, like, USAID has programs where people would go through, and Vital Voices, which again is a nonprofit there, where they would go through and do business boot camp. So there are some, but no, I have not heard of another.
Not when you buy a product, you're able to give that back to somebody.
Yeah.
So do you think that's like the main selling point of why people or corporations buy your product? Or is it like a mixture of like your actual good quality, but also the mission?
I think it's both. I was told early on with the marketing consultant, he was like, you kind of have to reel them in and sway them over with the quality of your product. And then we kind of treat the give back as the icing on top. Like that, they say that's what gets you to then purchase. But it has to be, I feel like, again, this is something we did teach in our artisan business schools too. Say like the quality itself has to reel them in. So
yeah. So what are some challenges that y'all been facing as a social entrepreneur you know, because you've grown so much in the past couple years, and I guess some challenges, but also where do you see yourself in 3 years? Like if I were to interview you guys, where, like if we could wave a magic wand, if everything went so perfectly and beautifully, like everything always does. Like
well, I'm hoping we have more consistent income. Consistent cash flow sounds amazing. That kind of stuff, just trying to figure out, because again, like she was saying, you can put out 20 feelers and you get one, and it's so we've had a ton of success, but how do you get enough of it to where it's consistent and you're not, again, as a business owner, constantly worried about, can we make payroll? Like all of the small business aspect of it as well. So in 3 years, what I'm hoping is we have some big corporate partnerships to where basically some of the big Fortune 100s will buy all of their corporate gifts from us, which would give us then the consistent income and give them the consistent give back. So.
And how do you do that education? Like, do a lot of corporations know, like, hey, I do not want another keychain or want another, like, silicone thing to put my business cards in? Like, how do you educate corporations on, what employees want?
Yeah, as I say, it's kind of tricky. Thankfully, we've grown a lot by word of mouth, and so therefore, a lot of times it's the employees that then say, we would like this. So again, that helps versus having to do the education piece from our side. We do send out a lot of samples because typically, again, once you have used, I was going to say, we've gotten a lot of people to where once they've used this, they try to go back to Staples and then realize they can't. They're like, wait, no, we don't like the cheap paper.
Yes, me, yes.
And so that helps a lot too. But it's a delicate dance on how do you... And because our big thing too is like the branding on it, I feel like the corporate branding on it typically needs to be subtle for people to use it. Because again, I feel like if it is a bright red notebook with the Bank of America logo this big on it, like if you look like you work there, you're not going to use it. I feel like it has to look like it's a gift, and then the subtlety of the branding on there, so they're like, oh, this is who gave it to me. Yeah. So again, I think that helps a lot too, because it kind of sets us apart then from the 4,000 different random notebooks you can have made with your logo on it.
Yeah.
So,
Jasmine, where do you see Marie Mae going in the next 3 years or so?
Well, I mean, I'd have to agree with Jillian because it's what we talk about all the time, just having the partnerships with the bigger corporations. Yes, for cash flow, of course, that would be beneficial. But also just being the partnership, being able to say, like Marie Mae partnered with so and so, or we've worked with so and so. Just be able to have that accomplishment of being with someone, and then them just appreciating us, appreciating Marie Mae and what we do, and again because of the quality and the mission. Yes. It's like she was saying earlier, the question that you asked, we'll do these small pop-up shops every now and then, or we'll do corporate events. And if we're doing any selling of the products, we technically start off with telling everyone where everything's made. But like she said, it's the sugar on top, because I think what really excites them is when we tell them about the give back. I mean, I think it's like you just see it in their face. They just light up and they go, wow. That's great. That excites them. So definitely, just for people to know what we do. The accomplishment of doing that.
What two ladies have done. I mean, it's incredible. Like, I just admire y'all so much, and just like
it's called no sleep. Yeah.
It's called no sleep.
Lots of extra gray hair.
It's called exercising during lunch.
Exactly.
Well, you'll work at a cool place. You work at Common Desk, in Plano. So you're in a good location to be entrepreneurs and around people. So how important has it been to have those entrepreneurs around you? Like, do you get support from them?
Yes.
Just like a camaraderie of like, we're all in this together. We're all hustling together. Like, how has that been?
It goes back to the piece on the emotional side of it that I was saying. It's like, so when I started it, I had moved out of my house that I had in DC and moved back in with my parents. So it was one of those things to where mentally I was not where I should be trying to be out there selling to corporations. And so I'd be working from coffee shops and was like, wait, none of this, this is not the mindset I need to be in. And so that was the original reason that I had then gotten in an office at a co-working space, because again, it really helped, and it helped with the mindset, but it also helped separate out home and work, because otherwise, as an entrepreneur, yes, you are constantly working, which again, it's good, but you are constantly working. But no, it's great having those other entrepreneurs around, because then again, you're not kind of getting the Instagram filter. You're getting the here's exactly what's going on. At any moment, my life may fall apart.
And everybody else's too. So
Exactly. So it was I had found two other social entrepreneurs very early on, and we had, through Instagram, and we had started talking and had done it was supposed to be a mastermind, but it ended up being basically like entrepreneurial therapy. So to where basically you could sit there and talk to each other and say, okay, here's all the great things that are going on, but here's everything that's going wrong. How would you fix this? And so you could be completely frank about how would you price this out? How would you, as I say, all of those types of things. And I just feel like you have to have those type of people as an entrepreneur. Otherwise, you're on an island, and you cannot be on an island as an entrepreneur. So
no. So if you had like a couple words of wisdom or advice, probably one of them, do not be scared to reach out to Instagram. I think that you said that on a panel a couple weeks ago. It's like, if you see someone you admire, one, just say like, hey, you're doing a great job. Like, I notice you. Yes. You're doing awesome. Like, not expecting anything in return, but just take that leap of like, especially another woman, like we need to empower each other.
Especially in this day and age of where people have started becoming online bullies.
Yes.
People really appreciate those times where you do reach out and say, no, I think you're doing a fantastic job. I would love to learn from you. But
I think that's how also we became friends. Like I just stalked you on Instagram and was just like, I love your product.
Like that.
Like it's awesome. I love what you're doing. And we actually like each other. We're friends. But what other advice would you have to people who are either wanting to be social entrepreneurs or even like wanting to incorporate some sort of give back in their existing for-profit business model? What do y'all have to share?
On the ones that have existing for-profit business, I feel like a lot of times the give back makes business sense. So that's been my thing, to where it's not, don't think of it as, again, like where you would just give away this money. Like, think about how you actually build in to your business being a good social business. Like, again, I'm a huge proponent of the impact sourcing side. So making sure your supply chain is not, again, employing children in another country. As I say, and that kind of stuff, like that to me is a huge give back to begin with.
Yes.
And again, I just feel like, and it gives also your employees meaning for while they're there, and figure out how you can get them involved. And again, just something that makes sense with your business. As I say, that's when, as I say, it has to make a connection. It can't be complete. If it's something completely oddball-ish, that's just the president's pet company that he wanted to give money, pet project that he wanted to give money to, like that, I would say is not good for business. So, but if you make it tie in, make sense, and all of that kind of stuff, like it's fantastic for business too, and they give back.
And it gets your employees involved.
Yes.
And, we just need more employee engagement, especially in corporate America, I feel like. I don't have any experience, but I just feel like you're just so in your day-to-day, and like, if I know my company has a higher purpose, even if, our product isn't, giving back, but at least like I know like, hey, like, the profits that we make, the things that I'm helping, generate are doing something good as well. It just kind of gives that, the employee a little bit more motivation, I think.
Oh, yeah, completely.
And
then on the social entrepreneur side, the ones starting out, one, don't be afraid to ask for help. As I say, definitely I didn't know anything about making products when I started Marie Mae, so find those that do know those things. And like, we've gotten a fantastic education from our production partners. Like, so again, don't go in acting like and they will definitely teach you the way to do it, which has been fantastic. So don't be afraid to ask for help, and don't be afraid to ask for things. As I say, go in with an ask, typically when you're meeting, because people, again, I found people are always willing to help. You just have to tell them what you're wanting. As I say,
raise your hand.
Yeah, as I say, basically just say, here's my ask. How can you help me do this? Versus just going in saying, I'd love to help. As I say, like, actually be specific about it. And to learn from my mistakes, definitely run your numbers. As I say, and figure out all the costs involved, and figure out, again, how you're actually going to be making money with this. Because otherwise, again, the give back is not sustainable if you're not making money in the business. So
and also time as well. And I think as entrepreneurs, we forget that time is also valuable, and your time, it does matter. Exactly. So also factor in those things.
Well, and I just kept thinking, okay, as we scale, because then the price per product goes down and all that kind of stuff. So I was just kind of betting on the fact that it would end up getting to where we needed it to be. But no, you need to pay your bills now. Crunch your numbers now and figure out what works. So,
Jasmine, what is your advice to the listeners?
I feel like Jillian's more the expert on that subject.
You're in operations. You have some advice.
Let's see. goodness, I don't know.
Don't you hate it when
I
you
feel
like
like,
links? I know.
well, I feel like with Jillian answering first, she's like, oh yeah, wait, I would have said that. I would have said that too.
So second
Ditto.
everything
Ditto.
Jillian said.
Yeah, ditto is my answer. Yeah, just kind of what I just feel like I'm repeating what you guys are saying, but just the whole, the give back and having that motivation and the whole, it's kind of like our saying on our notebooks, write with purpose. Just, if I think something important if you're going to be an entrepreneur is to have purpose in what you're trying to do and what you're trying to create. And I think that is definitely big motivation.
Yeah.
That keeps you going.
Yes. Well, and I feel like something else, like from when you started to now, coming from a bigger corporation to a startup, figuring out none of us know what we're doing, as I say. And so don't look for the right way to do it because we don't know.
Right,
As I say,
right.
You just get in there and keep trying, and you'll figure it out, which, as I say, you've gotten fantastic at.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that. I love
So
that.
where can people find y'all? Like, where can I go buy a Marie Mae Company notebook? Where can I learn more about your corporate branding program?
We're primarily online, so it's at mariemae.com. And then, which we now have up on the screen.
TV.
So we have all of our now for holiday. We have now all of our gift bundles up, and all of our pricing also includes personalization on it. So we add their initials.
Which we have a little.
There's one.
Here we go. You can kind of
So
see.
all the prices, as I say, include the personalization on it.
that's awesome.
Which, again, is kind of a big differentiator at the moment as well. So you can find us on there. We're gearing up for holidays at the moment. We also have, if you're local to Dallas, we also have lots of pop-ups and stuff planned for December.
Yeah, and we'll have that on our personal website as well. So for our listeners also who are familiar with the Kleinert Foundation, you can go to www.kleinertfdn.org/blog, and there'll be a recap of our podcast, and we'll have all the links also available on there as well, and you can go check them out at their local pop-up. So
Also, feel free to tell your bosses about this.
yes, tell your bosses, send this send the podcast over, be like, listen to these wonderful ladies, and I want a better notebook for my office. So.
Well, I just feel like it also says a lot about your business. That was my thing. I was going to say, when you're giving out this corporate swag, like, what does a cheap key fob say about you?
Yes.
Like, that was my thing. Like, giving higher quality products that are subtly branded says a lot about the company as well. So, and once they give back. So,
Well, thank you for taking time out of your busy days. Just so grateful to have y'all and have y'all in Dallas. Like,
Thank you.
Love the good Dallas social entrepreneurs. And thank you all to our listeners for tuning in and learning more about Marie Mae. Have a wonderful day.
Thank you for joining us on another episode of The Road to Innovation, powered by the Kleinert Foundation. If you'd like to learn more about today's social innovator, please visit kleinertfdn.org or the podcast website at theroadtoinnovation.com.